Hello everyone, thank you for joining us again today. I have Tanya Granados here with me, the Pre-Construction Sales Department Manager, and today we're going to be talking about all pre-construction. Tanya, thank you for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed, one of the advantages that Realty Point brings to our franchises and agents alike is the accessibility in the realm of pre-construction. Now, this is entirely true because of the hard work of the president of our company, Mr. Zia Abbas. He has worked tirelessly over the past decade to establish excellent relationship with the developers and builders, some of the top in the industry in the Greater Toronto area. Now, what this means for you guys is that accessibility and Realty Point being at the forefront of the top pre-construction projects in the Greater Toronto area and day one and VIP sales pricings and incentives for your clients. Now my question is, what does this relationship that has been developed by Realty Point with the top builders and developers in the Greater Toronto area mean for our franchises and for our agents alike? In other words, how best can they take advantage of this relationship?
I believe that the accessibility that Realty Point provides both agents and franchises alike is an excellent opportunity for them to be able to enter a different avenue and be able to generate more revenue. But in order for that to happen, it's very, very important to be able to take care of the relationship that we've already established with the builders. We need to respect the rules and regulations that they've implanted, not go outside of them because it would jeopardize a relationship with them, and it is a great opportunity for growth in all real estate agents' business.
Perfect. Great. Generally speaking, how does the pre-construction sales process work?
Okay, so I'm going to explain the general process, not necessarily the Realty Point one. The general process usually is that the agent would submit a worksheet. If you were to get an allocation, you would be notified with the time and date of signing. You would take your client to the signing, to the designated time and place. You would sign the agreement, then you have a 10-day cooling off period, at which time you have to obtain or help obtain your client a mortgage pre-approval and submit it to the builders.
Now, you use quite a lot of pre-construction sales jargon over there, so let's narrow it down for our audience even further. Well, first and foremost, I know you mentioned about pre-construction sales department. First, let's explain to the audience what does the what are the responsibilities of the pre-construction sales department of Realty Point?
Okay. So the pre-construction sales department for Realty Point was established to kind of help the agents coordinate a little bit more fluidly what needs to be done. So Realty Point, because of the relationship that was previously established, gets a certain amount of allocations from the builders. These allocations are Realty Point's exclusively. The sales department is responsible or to kind of designate these to the agents, give these units over to the agents so that they can sell them. On a first come, first served basis and based on the worksheets that were submitted. So we try to go as close as possible to what your needs or your client's needs are. After that, we are responsible to coordinate and send in your completed worksheets over to the builder. And then they will allocate either a time or date or give us roughly when the signing is going to take place, and then we are responsible to coordinate with you so that you can coordinate with your agents. Then at the time of signing, we are there to help coordinate between you and your builders. So you come in, you always see one of the Realty Point staff there. You would look for us, we would go and coordinate with the sales department at the builders, get your contract, coordinate a sitting, get it all signed. After that, we follow up with you for your mortgage pre-approvals in order to complete your files. Please do have in mind that these are for Realty Point allocations only. If I know there's a lot of agents out there that are really heavy on the pre-constructions and they do their own selling from a different kind of like developers that we're not necessarily working on that project. Those paperwork needs to be submitted directly to the deals. Okay. We only take care of Realty Point's allocations. Okay.
Now you're speaking about the Realty Point pre-construction allocations and projects. I'm sure our agents and franchises would definitely like to know, how do they find out what projects is Realty Point currently working on and upcoming projects that may come in the future? How do they find that information?
Well, I would highly recommend for them to frequently check their emails, because we do constantly and regularly page out agents information on the pre-construction projects that we're currently working. You can also reach out to the marketing department. They usually they're the ones that paging out the information about each project. And you can also reach out to the sales department at sales@realtypoint.ca, and we can definitely help you out with that.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned before about the pre-construction worksheet. I think it would be best if we can go into a little bit of a detail of what that pre-construction worksheet entails, because I know sometimes I see you guys receiving worksheets but they're not complete and whatnot, and that brings about a lot of delays and frustration, not only for you guys but also for the agents, because because they're not filled out correctly, they don't get the allocations because we don't know what they want, or they have not filled in the right information and the bill is rejected. Yeah. So can you explain what the worksheet is and what information should be there and what is mandatory and important info?
So a worksheet is a document that the agents are responsible to fill out. It contains all of their purchasers' information, information as like their personal address, their email, their telephone numbers, occupation, whether they're going to be an end user or an investor. It's a very important question nowadays. I think it's mandatory for them to answer that, and the worksheets do get rejected for something as simple as that. It also has the type of unit that they're looking for, the price, and the model type, I believe, yes. And that is very important for it to be completely filled out, and it needs to be attached with a visible, legible driver's license. I want to reinforce that when a pre-construction has been launched, it's a time-sensitive matter. Literally, the pre-construction can be launched at 12 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, the sales department has to be able to submit all of the worksheets. We don't have the time to be able to notify the agents of an information that is missing and then give you the time to notify your clients to find that information. So if you can get the worksheet completed, all filled out with no missing information, then you're like a step above the others, I guess you could say, because you wouldn't be rejected, you wouldn't be put aside, you'd just be considered, you would look through it, and you would be completed, and we would forward your worksheet to the sales department, the builders.
I think you nailed it on the head over there, where how time sensitivity is an important issue in pre-construction. And I think if anything our agents and our franchises take from this is timing is everything.
Yes.
Even a second here or there means a price jump for their clients potentially, yes, if they miss out on it. So time sensitivity is very important, and hence that much more important to make sure that their worksheet is already filled out correctly and completely. I know one other thing that you mentioned on it was to fill out what type of unit that they want. Can we emphasize on the types of units that they want and the choices?
Yes, actually, thank you for reminding me. We ask you to please pick your top 3 choices. The reason being is, we understand that your clients have a preferred unit. However, because we do get a certain number of allocations and they're limited at times, we ask you to at least pick 3 different models so that we could try to accommodate one of the 3. If you only pick one model and we don't have that one, I have no choice but to put your worksheet at the bottom of the pile, because I don't have reference to any other type that I may be able to offer you. So the more choices, the better for you and your clients.
That's very, very important for them to know. On that particular note of time sensitivity, when should they then submit their worksheets?
I'll be honest, I do understand that you get paged the information for the pre-construction, sometimes fairly early, sometimes last minute. I would recommend you sending your worksheet as soon as possible. Generally speaking, the sales office usually creates a spreadsheet that indicates the agent, the client, the time that we received it, and the date, and then the type of unit that you're looking for, and we just start just adding all of these agents and all of these particular units that are being seeked. And if we don't have you there until last minute, it's going to be very, very hard for us to be able to accommodate you. So as soon as you know you have a fixed buyer for it, fill out the worksheet and submit it as soon as possible.
That's actually very important with what you mentioned. I actually had someone ask me and said, because sometimes the worksheets are not even provided to them because the builders don't release it. So they're like, I have a firm buyer, can I submit a worksheet even though they haven't provided it? I always tell them, you know what, take that information, fill it out even on a separate worksheet, have that information ready, and as soon as the builders release the project, so that you don't have to now go hassle your clients for that information. Majority of the time the information is very much always the same anyways.
There has been many cases that yes, you've submitted your ID, but it's not legible to me, but I still forward it to the builders to try to at least hold the unit for the agent, but if it's not legible to them, they just reject it, and then delays and then disappointments for your clients that can be avoided if we get a legible ID. So
now I have taken my worksheet, I was the first person, I've submitted to the sales department, and the allocations have now come through. How would I, as an agent, know if I have been awarded a unit or not?
Well, the sales department is going to email you. We try to do it to kind of leave a paper trail. We will email you what unit we were able to allocate based on your preferences or your client's preferences. At times, it might not be the exact unit that you were looking for because maybe we didn't receive those, but they'll be a similar unit, as similar as we can make it.
Now, I'm sure once you have submitted that to me, how much time do you usually have to be able to confirm if my clients are going to be taking that unit or not?
Okay, so we do understand that the units that we provide to you might differ from the units that you were asking, so we do send you an email letting you know what's the unit that we are able to grant you, and then we ask you to please, with the email, it's usually please confirm with your client if they're going to be taking, and then there's usually a deadline. Depending on the time sensitive and how quickly our deadline with the builders is, it could be a couple hours, to be honest, and sometimes it could be as little as half an hour. Okay. It really does depend on the project, and on our deadline. So we try to be as lenient as possible. We try to be as accommodating as possible, but please do have in mind that it's not us, it's the builder. They give us a deadline, we need to make it.
I will vouch for that one for Tanya in this particular case, because I always see her, you know, there's a tremendous amount of pressure that is usually placed on us. And actually, when we were talking about it earlier, that, you know, establishing a relationship with the builder is because we have delivered based on, and coordinated and delivered based on what we have promised to them, as well as what they have demanded. Yes. And that's how the relationship is developed. So sometimes when the builder says, I need those particular units sold by this particular time, we have a very short window, and I know that Tanya's hassling left, right, and center trying to get those worksheets in and selling. So all of these things do help, and at times, if you do get a few minutes, or even you know, of a time span to confirm with your clients, if you can kindly be accommodating to Tanya in this particular case. So I have to vouch for her on that particular. I've called my client says, yes, I'm going to be taking that unit. When will I be signing when will my client be signing that particular unit? Okay,
so usually when all of our allocations are confirmed, the builder will provide us a date and a time frame. So it'd be like, for an example, this Saturday between 12 to 5, and then they'll ask us to book an appointment. So I would usually be communicating with you and saying that this Saturday all of our allocations need to be signed, and our time frames between 12 to 5. Please confirm with your client between what time, 30-minute intervals, can they come in to sign. And then I would normally make an appointment, and then I would send the builders a summary of all of the appointments. So we would notify you the time and date of our signing. You would coordinate with your client what time is best suited for them. between those times, and then we would see you there.
At times, though, I've also noticed that we have provided the information to the builders, and the builders say this client has to come in at 1 o'clock and sign.
Yes, sometimes, again, because pre-construction is time sensitive, sometimes it is today you were granted the unit and this afternoon you have to come in and sign. It is true, depending on the project and the builders, that it is as quick as a couple hours and it needs to be done right away.
Well, kind of, I guess it makes sense, because these opportunities that is brought by Realty Point, it is so lucrative that literally anyone would be going out there and they want to, pounce on that incentive as best as and as quickly as possible. So when I guess the clients are receiving these units, I guess as an agent or as a broker, they have to work with their clients in such a way that their clients are already mentally prepared, that as soon as I've submitted my worksheet, it could be today, tomorrow, the next day, a week from now, or it could be even within the same day. And sometimes there's not even a leverage of time slot provided. They say 1 o'clock you must come and you have to sign it, so that the clients are ready and they can make alternative arrangements, whether it's for their work or family and whatnot, to be able to come. As an agent, I know that the clients are coming in to sign, but as an agent, I'm sure they're wondering, do they have to be at the sales signing as well?
Yes, they need to be present at the sales signing, because I believe the builder is not allowed to directly address or answer any questions that your clients may have. That is the agent's responsibility, so you do need to be present at the time of signing.
As a realtor, what else do they need to take with them at the time of signing?
Okay, so they would need to take their business cards, the realtor. You'd also have to remind your clients to take their checks, their blank checks, payable to, and the amounts can be given to them at that time. Normally speaking, when we confirm the unit and we give you, the sales department will send you an email with time, dates, and locations. They'll give you a brief reminder of the things that you would need to take with you to the signing, and they would need to take their IDs too, their client's ID that you need to make sure that they take their identifications. Okay,
so the realtor to take their business card, and for their clients to be able to take their checkbook, as well as their IDs again, because they may need and they may require all that as well. Now we're at the next stage. My clients have now signed. What is next?
Okay, so they have signed the day of signing. It is the responsibility of the agents to acquire a copy of the APS, which is the Agreement of Purchase and Sale. Though when we're present, we generally try to obtain it. We try to be proactive and obtain it. It is the responsibility, however, of the agent to obtain it and to send it to the sales department as well as the deals department for Realty Points allocation. After that, you as an agent are required to help your clients obtain a mortgage pre-approval. So the signing is the first bit. The challenge is when you complete your file with the mortgage pre-approval. Generally speaking, they have to be done within the 10-day cooling off period. And then after that, the most important thing, have in mind that pre-construction is long-term. So today you're signing, you're probably closing in like 3-4 years time. So it is very important to keep in constant communication with your client, and always keep the sales department and the builder's department, so the sales office at the builder site, updated with your client's information in case they need to get in contact with them. Sometimes they change their telephone numbers, they change their email addresses, and it's very important for us as well as the builders to be up to date with that information. And lastly, when the deals department does get in contact with you with co-ops or referrals, it is important for you to review them and sign them and submit them in a timely fashion.
Now, there's quite a lot of information that you went and shared with the viewers. One thing you mentioned was about them taking copies of the APS, Agreement of Purchase and Sale. Do they need to take copies of every single page?
If they would like for the reference, that's fine. The one that we need is the one that states the unit number, the building name and address, the purchasers, the price, the purchase price, and the breakdowns. Usually it's like the breakdowns of the deposits. And at the bottom it has the purchaser's contact information. Yeah, that's generally speaking.
I.e. the first page of the APS.
Usually it's the first page, but sometimes it's like the third or the fourth page.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I wanted to be very specific.
I also remember certain times they have amendments done.
And if there's
So,
any amendments done, then yes, you would need
those
to.
would be important.
Yes,
With their camera,
that's fine.
take pictures is fine?
It's fine.
Well, I know that there are certain applications for the phones that really help with scanning. I think one is called Cam Scanner, if I'm not mistaken. That usually helps them take good pictures and then PDF it and then send it off to whoever they want to send.
Yes, that is an example of one.
What is the 10-day cooling off period?
Okay, so the 10-day cooling off period are the 10 days that follow immediately after signing. During these 10 days, your client can take their agreement to their lawyer to get it reviewed, to see if it's, to get it reviewed and to see if they have any questions to be clarified, if there's any amendments that need to be done. They can request it to be done from the builders. Usually it's a communication between the builder's lawyers and the client's lawyers. And if there is any amendments, it has to be done within these 10-day cooling off periods too.
Now, 10 days, is that business days or is just regular days?
Regular days, not business.
I know that sometimes that could be a little bit confusing where people may think they have a lot more time than they don't, and I know that that's happened a couple of times. So you mentioned about amendments. Now, what are amendments and how can that be done?
Okay, so amendments are changes that are being requested to be done to the agreements of purchase and sales. Some of the common amendments that they request, the clients request, is to add a spouse to the agreement, to the title of the house. In order for that to be done, you need to take your agreement of purchase and sales and you need to visit the sales office within those 10 days. And they will, I think the amendment is like a one-page insertable document of whatever changes need to be made.
Okay, great. Let's say and because we're talking about different things that can happen potentially after the 10 days or before or within those 10 days. Unfortunately, my client has decided to cancel the deal. What do I need to do?
Okay, so it's very important for the agents to understand and to notify and to explain to their clients that if this is the case and this is their wishes, then it can be done. It has to be done before the 10-day cooling off period. Very important to keep count of those days. And what they need to do is take their agreement of purchase and sales to the builder's office where the signing took place. And they need to hand it in, say that they're going to be canceling their unit, that they're not interested in taking it, hand in their agreement of purchase and sales. When doing so, they will be giving you back your deposit checks. And they're going to ask you to sign, it's like a release form where both parties are acknowledging that the deal has ceased to exist.
Okay. What is the responsibility of the agent in relations to cancellation?
They need to make sure that, I would recommend them to take a copy of that cease to exist, that cancellation form, so that they have tangible proof that this deal did not go through, and that they're protected, and that they make sure that their clients are protected, that they both got the legal requirements to cancel a unit.
This is probably also where your recommendation before to keep in touch with the clients, especially within the first 10 days, is very much important. Actually, even right afterwards, the 11th day, the 12th day, to follow up with the client to see, well, how was their purchase? How did they like it? Are they happy with it and whatnot? Yeah. Of course, one of the reasons behind it is to make sure that their clients then are always in touch with them as an agent, in case if they want any of the agent's additional services. For example, if they want to do an amendment, they can get back in touch with the agent, or in this particular case, if they are canceling the unit, that they get in touch with the agent, so that the agent, well, number one, is aware that this has happened, and of course, for them to notify you, the sales department, the pre-construction sales department, that has happened.
Yes.
And the sooner the better, of course, so that hopefully, usually this is not the case, but hopefully we can resell that
Resell the
particular unit right away. And of course, for the deals department to then also manage the commission follow-ups accordingly as well. Speaking of commissions, when can I expect them?
It's a good question. I get that asked very often. Our job here at the sales department is to be able to acquire all the documents and kind of finish up all the files.
Okay.
We're not responsible for the commissions, nor do we pay out any of the commissions, so we wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Okay.
What we are responsible is to make sure that all the mortgage pre-approvals, to make sure that that all the paperwork are finalized, which is very important, because without finalizing these, without the builders receiving all the mortgage pre-approvals, they are not going to be sending the co-ops, and they will not be doing they won't be releasing any of the commissions, and then it's very difficult for the sales department to be able to follow up with them.
So, if not you guys, who do I contact for the
deals department?
The deals department. Thank you very much, Tanya.
You're welcome.
The next group, I guess, that we will be interviewing would be the deals department, because we really want to find out how am I going to get my commissions.
Yes.
So please stay tuned and make sure to watch our video with the deals department of Realty Point to learn more about your commissions. Thank you.